I'm with Bob Kernahan, who's been with the Australian Workers' Union a hell of a long time. When did you start with the AWU?
It was about 1974, 75, Michael. I got all my tickets at home. I must look that one up.
And you became an official when?
1982, 83.
That's about the time Hawkey
That's correct.
got elected.
Yes.
And you would have observed the rise of Bill Ludwig.
Indeed.
A joint ticket for the national president, Bill Ludwig, and the national secretary, Bruce Wilson. That was late 80s?
Yes, it was. Yes.
How would you describe the relationship between Bill Ludwig and Bruce Wilson?
Politically, I could never work it out or understand it because Ludwig was from the far right. Wilson was probably categorised as of the left back in those days. So that surprised me, but of course it was a marriage of convenience.
Were they close?
Yes, close as in convenience. That's
Well,
about it.
let's just...
There was no socialising, or to my knowledge, there was no out of work socialising or anything.
Bruce Wilson's an official in WA, in Western Australia.
Yes.
You're in Victoria. Somehow, Bruce Wilson ends up being appointed as Secretary of the Union in Victoria. That's a paid full-time position, is it not?
That's correct.
Was he elected to it?
No.
Who appointed him?
Bill Ludwig effectively appointed him by having the numbers on the National Executive.
Okay, so it's an executive decision
That's correct.
made by Bill Ludwig. Bill is still calling the shots at the union.
That's correct.
How do you get re-elected to that position so often?
Elections occurred every 4 years. When Wilson was promoted to the branch secretary's position in Victoria by de facto of a vote from the National Executive,
Yeah.
I was campaigning heavily against Wilson at that stage. Even back then, prior to all of these dodgy accounts being discovered, this was back in 1992, I was an ardent opponent of Wilson's, and there was already discrepancies in the balance sheet that I discovered, the annual balance sheet, which was published in the Union newspaper, and there were certain irregularities, very small, what Wilson probably would regard as pocket money, 25,000 here, 30,000 there, appearing one year and disappearing the next. So I started asking questions about that and how inappropriate it was for the National Executive to impose somebody from another state who has no relationship at all with the Victorian branch of the Union to come in and
But
take
he did have a
charge.
relationship with Bill Ludwig.
He certainly did, yes.
When he got discovered, when he got the flick and got the redundancy, and the union bill, in Bill's name, goes to court to have the redundancy declared invalid and what have you, and it goes to court and all of this money is disclosed, all of the bodgy accounts is disclosed, it's all at court. What was your reaction when the union under Bill Ludwig did not go back to court to get any of that money paid back?
I was shattered, given that my name was already being tarnished by some of these people, trying to link me directly to Wilson's corrupt activities, bearing in mind at the same time they were trying to silence me and shut me up. There was a lot of skullduggery going on back in those days. I was horrified, as indeed every member of the union would have been horrified had they have known. I was doing my best to get it out there. Mainstream media even back then didn't want to touch it.
But the fact is, I mean, I can see in the reports that money was paid by the Western Australian Government's Building Construction Industry Training Fund. It went to TEAS and it went to this alleged MOU between your union and TEAS. The money went into that, into the Workplace Reform Association that Gillard set up. It came out as cash or to buy the house. And at the end of all of the inquiries, no one's prosecuted. No statements are made to say, no, that money got knocked off. You can see it went to Wilson's house. It went into cash cheques. And you've told me earlier that money was paid to the Greek builder to renovate Gillard's house. And no one makes a statement to authorities, no one did anything wrong.
No, according to the union's official position, I'm talking, when I say the union, I'm talking about the key players.
Who?
Bill Ludwig, Bob Smith, the Victorian branch secretary at the time. Indeed, all of the full-time officials collectively grouped in one corner of the office, and I was on my lonesome at the other end, because my position was the complete opposite to theirs in terms of not being brought off in silence. It is a tragedy, and people can make their own judgments when people go back now that this is on the record in years to come, and they'll still be asking the question, why was this allowed to happen? What rights have common, decent, average working people got when people that they elect to positions to represent them in their organisation, the union, act totally with no regard to the law? It's disgusting.
Well done.